Hello there, actually no, let's go glasses off for this one. Convince people I'm not falling apart at the seams in my old age. Hello there folks, I'm Dan Brown from Sort of Interesting, and today you're joining me on board good old narrowboat Abel's Ark, but not for too long, because I want to show you some footage from being out and about on the canal and driving my car around and stuff like that, as today I'd like to talk to you about the reality, now that I'm a month and 1,000 miles into my driving experience, of having a boat, living on a boat and tootling about on the canal and dragging a car along with me, as I've found it's made an extraordinary difference to my life already, and I can see just how much easier and how many more possibilities it's already opening up. You know what, my friends, it's quite busy and I'm going to be quite distracted, I think, by some of these boats. So let's go and sit in the car and talk about this. So, my friends, I'm currently moored up at Ellesmere in a random lay-by that is popular with boaters who have cars. And if I pan the camera around, we've actually got Ellesmere Marina just over the hedge there. But if I zoom in here, as we pan the camera across, you'll see that we could scarcely be any closer to this bridge that crosses straight over the top of the canal, and literally right there, that path leads directly down into the Ellesmere Basin area, which is immediately to our right hand side here. So my sort of most frequent mooring spots around the Ellesmere area, to the right hand side around the basin and the services, probably 4 minutes walk away, absolute maximum. Another good moment of indication as to how close to the canal you can park your car. We just look over here, might see a little red roof of a car behind that white van, and that's the Skoda. So again, if you need to load up or get supplies on board or anything, you can see we've literally got the shortest walk between canal and car physically possible without pretty much putting the car on the towpath. Again, we should hopefully just see there the back of the car come into view. Anyway, I need to focus on this bridge, but again, just wanted to share that with you as another illustration of some of these spots around. So I've just taken a slight detour down a horrible windy country road to find a very busy car park here at the Frankton Junction, just so I can sit here and do this 1 minute of footage where I say, well yeah, once again we're sat in the car literally overlooking the canal here. And, well, you've obviously got good access to walk up to your boat in that direction. You've got the Frankton Locks just out of sight to our left. And, of course, recently I was moored up about maybe a 5 to 10 minute walk tops up underneath Bridge 69 there. So I'd park up here and go down the lane in the pitch black after work in the evenings and tootle up the canal. Lovely jubbly stuff. So in a world first, we're going to have some driving footage where I'm actually behind the wheel. So we're going to start out from the Frankton Basin here, go over this incredibly humpback bridge, as you can see, up and over the end of the world. And really now it's about a mile of a windy backcountry lane to get to the main road. And I wanted to show you this particular footage because it's a good indication of what a lot of the roads that lead to the canal are like in this particular area. And obviously you can see here it's a lot of narrow, overgrown, bumpy, and corners like that, like practical right angle corners where you've got almost no visibility of what's around the corner. So it's just a case of being sensible and slow and steady, and again just being aware of the dangers of cyclists or walkers or even sometimes cattle and animals out on the roads. Needless to say, oncoming vehicles could also be an issue. I'd say it's almost better doing these in the dark conditions, because at least then you get the advance warning of the headlights, or hopefully you do, of an approaching vehicle. Whereas obviously in the daytime, when I'm going around some of these corners at a snail's pace, we're obviously really struggling to imagine what might be only 10 seconds away, yet alone, well, again, how fast it may be travelling towards us. But let's stop tempting fate by talking about such things. So I would say that I'm not going to labour the point anymore about how many potential parking spaces there are within easy distance to walk to the boat, as you've just seen a good few examples there, and obviously further upstream and further downstream there's a lot more, as I've mentioned. But I'd say it's probably more of this actual travelling from the main routes down to the canal that's more of a concern to me when I'm going back to the boats in the evening and stuff. And when I was parking up at Tetchell, for example, I never really worried that the car park or the little lay-by was going to be filled with cars and I wouldn't be able to stop there. I was more concerned of getting down there in a safe, sensible manner. So in terms of that element of parking up and ease of access and stuff, there's no issues as far as I'm concerned now. I've settled myself and I'm pretty happy in my mind's eye now, thinking of the future and the potential winter conditions and how much more I may be glad of having a car. Now, there's something that people have said of, oh, isn't it a hassle if you move the boat like so many miles down the canal, you've then got to go back for the car. And as I've mentioned previously in live streams and things, to me, the idea of having to walk a few miles or bike a few miles back up to the car to then move the car closer to wherever the boat has been moored up, and doing that maybe once, twice a week, maybe a little bit less in the winter, I mean, compared to some of these extraordinary bike ride commutes that I've done over the years and done them day after day after day, it's literally nothing. Even if I had to move the boat 10 miles and then walk 10 miles back to the car, to do that once a week and then have the car within easy access, as opposed to just biking or walking or whatever X amount of miles every time I wanted to go into town, it's just not even a comparison with convenience. Obviously, on that convenience topic, not only am I saving a huge amount of time in terms of the travelling itself, as in being able to travel at 60 miles an hour up a hill rather than pedal up that same hill at about 15 miles an hour if I'm lucky, before getting off and reaching for my inhaler at the top. But of course, it's that fact of not turning up all hot and sweaty and worn out after cycling for an hour or so. And that's something that I obviously knew and anticipated to a certain extent. But what I don't think I could have truly anticipated was almost the psychological level of that. Turning up and not needing to catch my breath at my destination, whether that's returning to the boat and being fresh to go in and start, cleaning up, sweeping the floor, sitting down, responding to emails, etc, etc. Obviously, you feel far more good-spirited, I suppose, about getting stuck into all these odd jobs and that, not having already been destroyed on the simple trip to and from whichever destination I'm going to. And another element to that is what I used to say with the narrowboat Tilly era in particular, where I was practically never off my bike. I would have to leave a spare pair of clothes at my friend's house, at my dad's house and stuff, so that if I arrived there soaking wet from weather conditions, soaking wet from sweating, I could literally get changed into a fresh pair of clothes, and then when I was getting back on my bike to head back to the boat or wherever I was heading, I would change back into my horrible clothes that were damp or sweaty or whatever. And again, there's obviously none of that, and that makes life far more pleasant, even if you disregard the convenience aspect of it, just more wholesome, I would describe. And I'm hoping that when I turn up to my friend's house later on in the car, I'm not going to be stinking and sweaty and all the rest of it, although skip that point. I try and make these jokes, dear me. Next up, so I want to just show you a quick view at the back of the car here. This is something, I don't know if people really believed me when I said this or not, but this is how the back of the car has looked for almost all of the time. Since a couple of days after buying the car, I put the seats down, I put a sheet across them, took the boot shelf and everything out, so it's just a big area that I can throw my bike in and out of, and that's literally how it has stayed untouched for the last few weeks. So obviously that's the other element of having the car now, is I can obviously go, right, I want to go off to the top of the race course, I want to go off to this place, that place, chuck the bike in, and I can get there and go off biking and all the rest of it. But I've talked about that before. I just wanted to show that the car is indeed set up for bike carriage and storage, more so than it is for human passengers. So my friends, at this point I'm going to draw this video to a close, but I just want to point out where the nearest, where the only signposted place is here. That is the magical world of candy. Lovely. Makes me think of the Wicked Witch in Hansel and Gretel. but that's a massive distraction. So I'll simply say thank you so much for tuning in. Please do consider checking out my other videos, subscribe, hit the notification bell for proper boat life stuff. I've got loads coming during October, and well, if you want to help me out, then please do consider checking out my short books available for the Kindle and as a paperback. Links in the description below. I can't see if I'm in shot properly or not here, sorry. Feel free, you'll find the links below to obviously the books, and for me on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Tumblr, goodness knows what else. So please do check those out. And well, till the next time, my friends, have a fantastic day. Keep it boat worthy, keep it car worthy, and well, have a fantastic day and farewell. Oh no, why do I do these things?